All right, all right. So late night Sunday, 11:15 p.m. Let's talk about relationships, how to properly vet relationships. So two factors here. The first factor is specifically what are you looking for, all of the qualities that you're going to list. And number two, and this actually takes precedence over the first point that I mentioned, is that who do you need to become in order to attract the person that you've described? So those are the two factors. Describe the person that you want to attract or that you want to be with or form a relationship with, whatever that kind of relationship would entail, whether it's marriage, whether it's long-term partner, whether it's whatever relationship that you want. And number two, or even a business relationship, it could be any relationship really. Number two, and this is actually the first step that you need to do after you list out all of the qualities, you have to figure out to yourself, okay, so how do I get this person? How do I make this relationship happen? How do I manifest this relationship, right? So the way you do that is you make the second list, which is the second step. Who do I need to become? What do I need to do? How do I need to change in order for this relationship to actually happen? In order for this relationship to become a reality. So some qualities that you might want to use as far as what kind of relationship that you would want, you would ask yourself a couple of things. And in fact, I have a list here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my list, and I'm actually going to tell you specifically. I'm going to give you some tips as far as what are some of the questions that you would want to ask in order for you to actually know specifically how to filter relationships, right? So first thing is determine what is and what is not workable for you to assess compatibility. In order to not compromise your values and core principles and to be in a harmonious and successful relationship, find out two things. Number one, what is important for you, that it must be present or absent in their behaviors, beliefs, habits, character traits, values, desires, preferences, and personality. And number two, what are the things where you can reasonably be adaptable and flexible without it negatively affecting you to the point of anger, disdain, resentment, or judgment? Which means, in other words, if you want to summarize this very quickly, what are your deal makers and what are your deal breakers? Which means that what are the qualities that you'd be willing to kind of be flexible on, and what are the qualities where you're not willing to be flexible on at all, and they must be present in the other person. So practically, you could think of a couple of things. Let's say, for example, you're a man seeking out a woman for a long-term relationship or marriage, for example. What can you actually do? How can you engage with this person to find out if they possess the qualities? First of all, you do the normal activities that you do, dating, the get to know you stuff, but get to know you stuff should actually be intentional, especially if you are intentional, if you are looking for a long-term relationship, if you do want to have a family with this person, well, not this person, but if you do want to have a family, if you do want to have a marriage and you don't want to waste your time, if you don't want to just waste your time, you have to be intentional with how you conduct yourself when you're seeing somebody, when you're dating somebody. So practically ask her about her family upbringing, if her parents are together, and if she went through any trauma, if so, what kind, and what kind of relationship she has with her parents and siblings, if she has any. What did she learn from them? How does she feel about her parents and siblings? And ask about her past relationships and what they were like. So you could see that this theme here is all about relationships. So everything I'm saying right now is going to be very detailed. So if you're confused about something, run it back. Run the video back and watch that again, as far as what are the things that you need to ask about. The reason why is because you need to be able to assess how is she bonded to different types of people. And then you also have to find out specifically what is she actually doing if there is trouble in her relationships with her parents, her mother, her father, her siblings. What is she actively doing, if anything, to address those particular problems? And if she's not, that may be a red flag. But again, these are things that you're going to have to play out, but you have to keep these in the back of your mind, and it might even be helpful to write them down as well. Second point, if you're a political person or if you care about, because the political aspect, politics may play a role in your belief systems insofar as they actually contribute to the way you live your life, and you need to be aligned with somebody. You need to be with somebody that's aligned with you on a political level, and that is true, right? So ask about her opinion on various political organizations and why she holds those opinions. So I'm not going to make this about left or right or anywhere in between, but you're gonna find out, okay, what do you believe? What are you aligned on? You have to be able to articulate those beliefs, and then ask her opinion on political organizations and why she holds those opinions, because you also want to test the other person's logic. So if you have opinions that you actually can't support and can't back up, but you're very feverish about those opinions, that you hold them in high regard and you're willing to yell and scream for them, but you have no idea why you actually hold them, they just kind of feel right, then be tread lightly, in that territory, and find a way to determine if that's a deal maker or a deal breaker for you. Again, like we mentioned in the first point, ask about her perspective on personal growth. And by the way, everything I'm saying could also apply to the man as well. Ask him for this, ask him for that. It applies the same way. So ask them about their perspective on personal growth and development. Are they spiritual or religious? Do they want to work on themselves? Do they meditate or do any self-care or self-love practices? Ask about what books they read and what content they consume and how much time they spend on social media. Because you want to be, and again, listen, if you spend all your time on social media and you don't care if somebody else spends all their time on social media, then, have at it. Do your thing. But especially what you want to do in this particular case, if you want to just kind of boil it down to the principles, is you want to ask the other person about their perspective on personal growth and development and what they actually actively do to improve themselves. So you have to really figure out, if they don't, why don't they? And then you have to probe further. And if you're seeing some red flags appear here and there, some cause of concerns, and they don't work on themselves, that's a pretty good indication that it may not be long-term material or marriage material. So you have to be very careful. You have to be willing to go through this process, not quickly, but intelligently and thoroughly, so you can quickly vet people out who do not fit the relationship that you want to build. Now, I haven't even gotten to the part where we're talking about you yet. So we'll get there. Ask about hobbies and friends, right? What do they do for fun? What are their friends like? What do they do? How strong is their friendship? What have they done together? Because the bond that a person has with their friends is oftentimes reflects the bonds that they're able to have with other people as well. So if they don't have any friends, or if they don't have any close friends, then, and again, if you're an introvert and it doesn't really matter to you and you guys want to be best friends forever, hooray, then that's fine. But it really depends on, I'm just telling you what questions that you can ask to determine, in different categories of life, how do they operate, so you can have a better sense of how to make decisions. If you like to engage in philosophical or intellectual conversations, if you know anything about this channel so far, then you probably already know that I do. Ask yourself, right? Do they want to engage, or do they engage in intellectual philosophical conversations? Or rather, sorry, I messed that up. Engage in intellectual and philosophical conversations and see how they respond, which means that you're taking their cue from them. So if you're waxing philosophical and you have some ideas and concepts that you're putting together, find out how they respond. Do they have nothing to say? Are they willing to engage? Do they have their own perspective? Do they give you something unique to play with? Do they ask you questions? Are they interested? And if that's important to you, then those are positive indications that, hey, there's compatibility there. If that's important to you, but there's no feedback and there's no interest there, then you know where that's going. But again, that's just one kind of pillar. It's not like if you don't check off that box, then goodbye. Unless it's a complete deal breaker for you, then of course it would be, because that's what a deal breaker is by definition. Do they go to the gym / exercise and eat healthy? I'm telling you right now, I don't know what your beliefs are, but that should be a deal breaker for everybody. Think about this. You're with a person and you're whatever age you are, you're probably in your, maybe early 20s, teens, late 20s, early 30s, who knows? You have to ask yourself this: if this person doesn't work out and eat healthy, what condition are they going to be in when they're 40, when they're 50? And you have to ask yourself, one of the main reasons, in fact, this is almost like we're presupposing things here, like loyalty and trust. we're presupposing, we don't even have to talk about those things. Another thing you don't have to talk about is physical attractiveness. A person can contain all of the personality characteristics that you would want to have in a person, but if you're not physically attracted to them, if there's no like attraction there, chemistry, sexual chemistry, if there's nothing there, then then that's not really a relationship that you want, that's sustainable, because that bond that you have when you're connecting with somebody on that on such an intimate level, one of the most intimate levels, is you can only fully experience that and fully and allow and feel all the positive emotions if you actually are physically attracted, sexually attracted, and there's chemistry there. So in order for that to sustain over the long term, this person has to take care of themselves, right? They got to eat healthy. They have to exercise, do some kind of exercise, right? It doesn't have to be you got to smash the weights, or you could do whatever, right? You could hit the weights, yoga, Pilates, running, a variety of things, eating healthy, and here and there you have a dessert, whatever. Maybe once a week you have, a cheat meal or whatever. But you're in good shape, or you're trying to get in good shape, or you're trying to be healthy. Not everybody is in good shape, and that's not what I'm claiming. But you want to look at the person's lifestyle, like how are they living? And if your lifestyle isn't super healthy and you don't really care, then I guess that's on you. But assuming that you actually care about longevity and sexual attractiveness, then you would want this other person to care about what they eat and to care about the fact that they do exercise and they put enough care into their own physical appearance, into molding basically what was given to you guys. It was given to us by evolution or by God, whatever you believe, what was given to us. Then it might be important to be in the best form possible as we age, because as we age, obviously we degrade. So that's going to be important. I talked about this point way too much. So ask about their job/education, and or what are they doing now and what they want for themselves in the future. So you want to see the future pacing. Now, if you're looking for like, if you're a man and you're just looking for a woman to raise your kids, who's smart and who's interesting and doesn't want, and you don't want her focus to be on her career, that's fine. And maybe vice versa. I don't really know. I don't really care, honestly, what your preferences are, but find out, because you may want this person to be ambitious, to be driven, and maybe that doesn't matter for you, but you have to find out either way. Because if you're a woman and you want to find that on a man, you got to find out, hey, so what are you doing now? Maybe his education doesn't matter. What really matters more is what are his capabilities and what is he doing to practically take steps to put those capabilities to manifest those capabilities, and for him to improve his life, and by extension the life of you in the future and his community as well. Typically women do like ambitious and driven men, so find out, man, who is this person. Now if you don't, then that's a different story, but it's good to find out whether this person is or isn't, and then determine whether that's a deal breaker for you or not. Before you make future plans together, meet their friends and their family first. Do not ask about the future. Look at how they're living their life now, what thoughts and opinions they have now, as an indication of who they are. Do not future pace. So you have to assume that who this person is now will basically repeat across time. And if you see improvements day over day, every time you date them, or every single week, then that's a positive indication that their trajectory is this way. Now, if you see their thoughts, so what I'm trying to say here is what I'm about to say. Do not get trapped into thinking about what they could be, what their potential is. Everybody has potential, but you can't get caught up in a false reality, in an illusion of who this person could be. Because a lot of times we like to see the best in people, as we say. And there's some virtue in that, but you can't live your life that way, because the person is right in front of you, not this imaginary person that you're projecting to the future. Oh, this person could be that, but guess what? They're fucking not. So you better wake up and you find out, this person in front of me, who are they? Right? You ask all the questions, you vet them properly, you find out who is this person and what are they working towards. So what was I saying? So the potential isn't real, and those are your assumptions, perhaps to justify the potential inadequacy of their present state to you. Let me say that again. If you're focusing on the person's potential, it may be a way for you to justify their inadequacy in your eyes to you, so you have an excuse or a reason to actually stay with them. Think about that. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up here. I don't know how long I've been talking. Let's wrap it up. Final point, and this is actually the final point. Maybe I can expand on these points a bit later if you want me to. Just let me know, and I'll definitely do that. That's totally cool. If you notice any red flags to you, so everything I mentioned, right, you find out. But remember, at the beginning of the conversation, at the very top, I told you, specify what are your deal breakers, what are your deal makers. So what are the green flags? So these are a yes, and specify your red flags. Red flags are a hard stop. That's what a red flag means. A red flag means a hard stop. That's literally what it is. Okay, so you can't waver on that, and you better think long and hard about what your red flags are, what your deal breakers are. If you notice any red flags to you, leave immediately. Be fully open, honest, and authentic with who you are, your past, and your character, boundaries, attitudes, and you will find out very quickly if you're a good fit or not. Make sure that this person does not only possess any relationship deal breakers for you, does not possess any relationship deal breakers for you, but the relationship deal makers are there as well. So you need to have both. You need to have the things that you want, and you need to have the things that you don't want. Now, these are ideal scenarios, and that's going to happen over time. And typically, all of this stuff really makes more sense if you're looking for something long-term, if you want to build a family, if you want to have a marriage. Like that's what that list is primarily for. If you're just looking to mess around, to date around, to have a short-term fling, to have like, you don't really care, just go with the flow, then maybe this stuff doesn't matter all that much to you. Although it's better for your psychological health if it does, because it makes you a better person as well. So, you know what? Maybe I'll do a part two. The part two will be, who do you need to become to attract this type of person? So if you want all of these characteristics in this person, now you have to find out. That's the first part. Second part is, now who do I have to become? So we'll leave that for next time. I hope that was really helpful, and have a good night. I'll see you soon.